adjust that dial, because you're listening to Summer of Love 4, Time for Love, a special podcast event from 2 Chunks and a Hunk.
We've got time for love if we make it. Nothing can stop us or break it. Passion soars on wings like eagles, seen from above. If all that we have left is time, I think it's time for love.
Hello and welcome to 2 Chunks and a Hunk. My name is Jordan Wonders, and this week I'm just a regular chunk guy. A chunk guy this time.
I'm Doge, and let me get this straight. You both went to the same school, yet someone came back with a degree that's useful, and the other one came back as Chunky Ellen.
And I'm Carter. And
I do want to say right here, Ellen is a bully, and we don't like her. She's fake nice. And
Yeah,
we
I
don't
used to have
stand
a
for that.
dream of being on Ellen DeGeneres' show.
Now it's a nightmare. Ain't it funny how life goes?
I hate that.
I'm Carter. And it was never my job to make you feel like a hunk. I can't make you something you're not.
Ooh, just the most savage burn.
Ooh. I felt, when she said that, I felt like when the hyenas say Mufasa. And I was just like,
I shivered. I was like,
Mufasa.
I was just so full of like screen empathy.
Yeah.
Scrimpathy.
Like trying to put myself there, that if somebody said that to me, I would die on the spot.
Oh, yeah. No, that would be it. I would just turn inside out. Hey, Carter.
Yeah.
Why are you the hunk?
I was going to say, because I think for the first time in our history, I have complete control of an episode, but then I remembered Mini Mondays exist.
Yeah, how about 50% of our total output?
Somehow, these silly boys have given me more power. But coming up, and it's still happening. I can't believe it's happening, even though it's a year later. At the end of July, it just, sometimes things just line up perfectly. We have my sports ball knowledge and the biggest sporting event in the world happening simultaneously. And so I am
that is what?
The Olympics.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah. So
That's where the gods live?
that's where the gods
That big
live.
mountain?
So Doge,
Yeah.
you'll probably know more about it than me.
Love it. Can't wait to see my boy Hermes in his winged sandals.
I thought it was Hermes.
I think it's Hermes.
That's the cologne that he wears.
I'll be kind of in charge of that. And so every week, starting this week, even though we have Black Widow next week, but starting this week, I'll be introducing what our next series is. And for these boys, most often it'll be not necessarily live, but as we're recording this episode, that they'll know what is our Olympics adjacent. And again, we're doing Summer Olympics, and the series is called Olympics, P-I-C-K-S. Do we have a colon? Did we say there's a colon?
Yeah, it's colon Carter's choice.
Carter's choice. That's right. Olympics, colon, Carter's choice.
It's my favorite Meryl Streep movie.
And so hang around for the shout announcements in this very episode, and you'll hear about episode 1.
I'm so interested to see what
Olympics.
the vibe of that is, because I think it could either
Triumphant.
be like we're watching The Natural and we're going to cry about Dennis Quaid throwing a baseball very fast, or we're watching like Bad News Bears.
Do you mean The Rookie?
I mean The Rookie. I don't mean The Natural. I'm sorry.
See, this is why I'm in charge.
We just accidentally showed our ranking of who knows sports movies right here, right now.
Exactly.
But yeah,
But we're not talking about a sports
Hang on.
movie,
No,
though.
I got to know.
Oh, okay.
What's the one where Spencer Breslin plays a very young Bruce Willis, maybe? Who's the adult in that one?
That is Bruce Willis.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. What is that movie?
What is that movie?
I don't
I'm
know
gonna-
that
I'm
movie.
going to Google it. You're not a Brez head like me.
I quote that movie a lot. There's one specific quote that I use.
Disney's The Kid.
The Kid.
That's why I
Hey, guess the Rotten Tomatoes. Real quick. Just guess.
15%.
I was going to say
Higher.
42%.
It's 49%.
Oh.
Yeah.
I quote that movie a lot in the bathroom. There's a part where the kid, Spencer Breslin, says it's pretty crazy that we both have to pee at the exact same time to his older self. And whenever I am in a public restroom with somebody I know, I like to say that.
Do you think that movie is where they got the idea for Looper?
Yes.
Got it.
Bruce Willis was like, this worked so good the first time. Let's do it again.
I do think that. But yeah, I just think it's funny when you're at a urinal next to somebody just turn to
Isn't
them
it
and
crazy?
say, it's pretty crazy that we
Isn't it
both have
wild?
to be at the exact same time.
It's pretty crazy how good this episode's been so far.
So far, it's been great. Well, I tried to save us, and then you popped a hole in my life raft.
Yep. I thought it'd make you go faster. I thought it'd be like an air jet on the back, but it just made you sink.
I've seen cartoons. No, we're finishing up. Look, we're wrapping up Summer of Love, and it feels like it's gone too soon, but sometimes that's how love works.
That is somehow,
Oof,
sometimes
that
how it
sucks.
works.
Sometimes that's how love works. You gotta, if you
Goodness.
love something, let it go, and if it's real, it'll
Yeah.
fly. I don't understand that analogy. I've never gotten it. But look, the last movie, the first place vote based on your decisions, dear listeners. That's what we're talking about this week. And it's going to be a little movie known as
Crazy Rich Asians.
I've never seen this. This is my first time.
You have seen it though.
Well, now I've seen it. Now I've
Okay.
seen it. This was my first time to have seen it. Doge,
Sure.
give me a synopsis so that we may discuss this movie.
This week's synopsis comes to us courtesy of an all-time great, Nick Reganis.
Goodness.
Nick Reganis writes, Rachel Chu, a plucky Chinese-American economics professor, is on cloud nine when Nick Young, her polite, dashing, Oxford-educated boyfriend, invites her to accompany him to cosmopolitan Singapore to attend his best friend's wedding. Seeing this trip as a golden opportunity to meet Nick's family, before long, Rachel discovers that Nick has been harboring a little secret. The Youngs are not just fabulously rich, they're practically the wealthiest family in the country. Now, as Rachel tries her best to prove herself worthy of Nick's love, mingling with Singapore's elite, the confrontation with Nick's disapproving mother, Eleanor Young, an elegant but icy matriarch defined by duty and tradition, is inevitable. Is Nick willing to sacrifice everything in the name of love?
Mm-hmm.
To the surprise of no one, Nick Reganis demonstrates that he that
He's truly
he's a
adept.
pro, an absolute pro.
Absolute pro. 100% pro.
All right, let me say something.
Oh, here it comes.
Finally,
Callie didn't like this analogy, but I've thought more about it, and I still stand by it. But she thought I was insulting this movie, and I wasn't. But so I think there are 3 tiers to this type of movie. The lowest tier is the Hallmark movie.
yes,
And I don't mean romance movies. I mean this style of movie. And I can get into it in a little bit. But these movies where it's like, love or my dreams, love or my dreams. Can I have both? Can I have it all? That's a very Hallmark style conflict to have, you know?
yeah,
Very
and
little women, Pride and Prejudice.
Right.
Yeah.
So there are Hallmark movies, and then there are Netflix romance movies. I'm thinking specifically like The Christmas Prince.
How are those different than Hallmark?
The quality level.
Okay,
Their overall quality is a better movie than a Hallmark movie.
so you're saying all like actual technical quality, or like
Yes.
this is 3 types of Love or My Dreams movie?
No, these are all the same type of movie moving up in quality tiers.
Okay, got
Is
it.
what I'm saying.
Got it.
So you've got
it.
the Hallmark, then you've got like the Netflix level of this type of movie. Then you have this, which is like a studio quality, high quality, like romance movie about sort of this like person comes into a world they don't understand. I'm thinking very much like Santa's Workshop is real and it's been behind my reality this whole time. It's kind of like that.
Rich
entering
people
into-
are real?
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's very much like it gave me very big like Princess Diaries vibes where it's like I'm clueless how to operate in this world that has existed and I kind of knew existed, you know, like that kind of thing of like
Yeah.
I just don't have the decorum for this or whatever. So yeah, it just gave me very strong like top tier version of that movie kind of vibes. Just in overall like cinematic quality and like effects and just the look
Yeah.
of everything, you know? And so that is the lens through which I watched this, knowing nothing about it going in. I very quickly was like, okay, I see what's happening here.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
What do you mean by you see what's happening? Like basically what you just described.
understand. Yeah, like I understand the structure of what we're watching through that lens.
Yeah. Yeah. I think structure is probably the only word we can choose. And I think that makes sense. And I think that's synonymous with what you're like trying to posit here. But yeah, I don't want to jump straight into my super pump, so I'm going to hold on to that.
Yeah,
but my super pump is how this feels very different structurally.
Did you said you don't want to jump into your super pump and then you super pumped? Did you mean to say super dump for one of those?
No, super pump. And I'm saying like it is, I will be more specific about this later.
Okay. Gotcha.
But I'm saying like it is something attractive about this movie to me. Very attractive, was structurally, narratively different how it was from something I had seen before in a love story.
Yeah. And I'm not saying it's a beat for beat, one for one comparison.
No. Yeah.
It's just a very similar like base model that has been added on. You know?
Yeah.
Sure.
You know, Netflix tried to buy this. They tried to buy the rights to this. And I loved that the director basically said, no, I want to be able to show that a cast, because this is one of the things that made the big movie news and national news. This was a fully Asian cast film, which just doesn't, in my own ignorance as a young white man, I didn't even know that existed, that this had not happened, right? Like I was like, I can't believe, first of all, I can't believe this is the first time. And, oh, really? You know, it was like just having complete control of it. But yeah, he was like, no, I can do it for 30 million, which we'll find out Michelle Yeoh helped with some of her own money too at some point. But yeah, I'm glad that there was confidence in this movie. I think you can see it too. I think the confidence in the filmmaking almost immediately.
And this movie is just, the visuals are gorgeous.
It's so Oceans to me. It's like really pretty.
Yeah,
like there's so many. I think the time that we spend getting those beautiful crystal clear close-up shots of not just like fashion and just the dripping wealth, but also like in the kitchen, like here's what we're making, like here's all. It felt docuseries. It felt like,
dude, my super pump was almost all the cutaways of food, like in the street market, and then when we're making made me dumplings.
I watched this too late at night.
Yeah,
because I was ready to just go get.
I was like, man, I'm hungry.
Un vaso of elote. Yeah. Like I was about to go get some street corn because I know they're still open.
So here's something you guys might not know. I think we all know on the show that I really love watching like cooking videos on YouTube. Number one most like zen type of cooking situation for me to watch is people making dumplings. I love watching people like making dumplings, stuffing dumplings, cooking dumplings, because I think it's a level of dexterity I'll never achieve. Like I'm so bad at
right. Yeah.
Like even rolling a burrito, I'm just like, I don't know what if I just rip it in half instead. Like I'm terrible at it. I'll never be able to make a dumpling. So I love just like watching like people intricately like stuffing these and all that stuff. So this was like a special treat just for me when we have a whole sequence about let's all sit around and make dumplings. I was like, for me? Thank you.
Totally. That's great. Yeah, I also wanted to just say really quickly that I think the music is incredible.
Yeah, it's real good.
Movie.
So fun.
All of the cover songs, that are part of the soundtrack were so cool.
Yeah,
my only bummer that I did not love is that the Elvis cover was in English.
Yeah,
in the wedding.
Yeah,
it's like we all know what that song is. You don't have to sing it in English because why? Because that music is actually happening in the scene. It's the only music that's actually happening in the scene and the characters can also hear it. So why would this be in English?
Right.
Yeah. You're kidding me. Why is this in English?
Yeah.
Still cried. So one of the very first things we see, and I ended up appreciating it more. But I do like that Rachel is a professor in game theory. I think that's
that's cool.
There's a lot of especially it's NYU, right? So especially at big schools, it's like there's incredibly attractive electives, and I can't believe someone's job is to teach something like that. Like the fact that there's movie history. There's actually movie history professors that are making bukus of money because they just love what we love. But this opening scene essentially being the callback for what happens later, I thought was timed really well. But I think right off the bat, to me, the chemistry between Nick and Rachel is pretty sizzling. I think I like Henry Golding a lot.
Yeah.
I think there were moments that it didn't feel like he was up to par with the actors around him, but that's for a very real reason.
He was not an actor.
Yeah. In our street food scene, when we first get to Singapore, when he's talking about the food, and it's like basically, in Singapore, this is one of the only times street vendors can have Michelin stars. I was like, man, he'd be really good at hosting like a series about, and that's his start, right? He was a travel show host, and what a perfect like demeanor and voice for that. Yeah, it's like
completely
plenty of personality, but you don't have to be the center of attention. Your personality can be the surrogate for the things you're talking about. He kind of tends to do that for Rachel, I think, in their relationship.
Yeah. I think that he, as an actor specifically, has a lot of like likability and charm to him. Like he's very he's easy to watch, and like it's easy to be like, oh yeah, I could see how one could fall in love with him. I'm going to kick us off right here though, because the character of Nick is kind of my super dump for this movie. He sucks. A little bit, yeah. It is awful that he has thrown his girlfriend into this situation with zero preparation whatsoever. She gets to be surprised by this. He does not. There is no excuse for it. And watching this movie, I was just like, no way, dude. Absolutely not. Like any time that he seems like he's at odds with what's happening, I'm like, no, you don't get to be surprised by people's reactions.
You knew this would happen.
It's like, it's still offensive even if it's 3 weeks in, because at that point it's like, you're going to throw her into this and y'all aren't even serious yet. But it's been over a year, right? Haven't they been together for over a year?
I think so.
And
because he was supposed to go home a year ago, move home a year ago, and he didn't because of Rachel.
Because of her. Yeah. So it's been way too long, which, I mean, if we want to say that he didn't tell her about his life for some reason, fine. But at least prepare her on the plane once she's like, oh, you're rich. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I have a lot of stuff you need to know real quick.
You need to know my mom will hate you.
Yeah. Yeah. My mom's going to hate you. My grandma's going to hate you. You're going into a situation where everybody thinks that you stole me from our company and our family.
Boy, that heel turn on grandma was personally ruinous to me.
I saw it coming.
I did not see it coming. I was like, she is actually just a Disney grandma. A Disney grandma who's so wise and kind in spite of her wild family. And then it was like, oh, actually, no, she's just also mean.
Yep. Yeah. And you can kind of see why, where Eleanor got it from, I think that's part of the point too.
Well, she was treated like that by her mother-in-law, so she treated, I understand all of that. I do want to point out also
But wait, before that, can we say I think the way of doing this well, in terms of the dynamic of someone being incredibly wealthy and then someone they love not, is Astrid. That is very creative and very, you can kind of feel for her husband a little bit, but it's like I don't want you to feel like, and because that in a sense goes into real. Like gender dynamics. That's more grounded too. A lot of stuff. Yeah.
And honestly, I thought Gemma Chan delivered overall the best performance of the entire movie.
Yeah.
She by a mile.
She's phenomenal. She is. Yeah. She feels like a classic Hollywood superstar.
She's my super pump in this movie.
I get that.
She's so good. Dude.
Astrid's her name, right?
Yep.
Astrid. It's Astrid. Astrid is the only character that I think I liked in this. I like Rachel, but Astrid is the only titular crazy rich person who is kind.
Oh, okay. I thought you were like in terms of performance and stuff too.
No. Like it's maybe not Gemma Chan then. Maybe Astrid is my super pump. Yeah. Maybe that's an important distinction to draw. She's acted really well by Gemma Chan.
Sure. Yep.
But I think she's the only person in Singapore who is kind.
Astrid is so great.
I honestly thought that her and her husband's storyline was the most interesting thing happening in this movie.
Yeah,
like I wanted
I kind of agree with that.
More of their dynamic and everything. Like I did not receive enough of her story.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that, I think.
Yeah, my super pump is that ultimately this actually is not a romance movie.
Yeah.
I think this is a movie about cultural identity.
Right.
And that's why I love it. I think that's why, because it kind of gets packaged as one thing and then gets flipped to another thing. I think it's also just so thoughtful to know the weight of demographically, culturally, this movie in Hollywood and not make it be ultimately Hallmarkian or something we've seen before, but cultural identity. My favorite relationship is Eleanor and Rachel. And I think that's the meat on the bones here is like their relationship together and then playing Mahjong at the end. Like I think the play back and forth between the two of them was so strong. And we've got Michelle Yeoh, who is like royalty in Hollywood.
Yes. Yeah. She's a big deal.
She was in her 30s when she did Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. So it's like,
wow,
she's been around forever. And you could tell the thoughtfulness that she had and how important this role felt to her, especially with things like, that's her ring, y'all. That emerald ring is hers. They had something else in mind. And she's like, no, this isn't impressive. Let's use some of my own personal
Let's use my
collection.
own very impressive jewelry.
Yes. Yeah. And so, but I think in something that sometimes we'll say is princess movie adjacent, there's enough beautiful, like rich, like just dripping with wealth stuff in here. Her showing up to the wedding and stuff, like that was supposed to be like her Cinderella moment. It felt like when they finally picked the dress for her to wear. But I think amidst all of that, the fact that this is Rachel trying to, and it's like she still can't help but be a fish out of water, even though she can speak the language, the native tongue very well, even though she's what would be a lot of people's definition of incredibly successful. There were things that were unavoidable for her. And in the end, she had to choose, does this form who I am, or does it just simply like point to where I came from? And I love that. That's my super pump.
No, and I love that her core realization is like, I don't really care if you think I'm good enough. Yeah. I get to decide that. I get to decide if I'm whatever enough for myself. And I do like that a lot. I want to be very, very clear. When I was comparing this to Hallmark and Netflix originals, I'm saying it in the sense of like Toyota and Lexus are made in the same vein, but there's a clear quality difference between them.
I'm saying like what would be, because I think Hallmark 2 is just very much about, it is only about the identity of the movie is the relationship between the man and the woman, right?
There's nothing else going on.
There's nothing else going on. So it's funny how something so awfully made and kitschy can be such a lexicon of how we watch these movies.
I do want to talk about though, there is, so like the particular brand of like villainy here, just the way that it is delivered is hyper. And I think that's where that's another area that like the Princess Diaries comes to mind, which is a movie I love, but the brand of like catty girl villainy here is so over the top and goofy at some points that I found it hard to stay connected a little bit. Like, specifically the like fish in the bed and like Eleanor's turn on the stairs where she's like, I went through exactly what you went through and I know exactly how you feel and you'll never be good enough is like, so it was so like, whoa, kind of, I don't know.
That's the kind of stuff, that kind of stuff feels like, and I know this was a novel first. I haven't read the novel, but it's those kinds of like the moment on the stairs in particular was like, oh, is this the kind of novel that you buy for $7 when you go to the beach for a week?
Right.
Like, is it just one of those like little, like you get this at CVS at the checkout or I don't know. And I definitely don't want to diminish it because it's an international bestseller. Like it's a huge deal.
Sure.
But just those moments like that, I agree. Those were just like, no, that's
I'm only specifically talking about the way that our antagonists, if you want to call them that, have delivered their particular brand and flavor of villainy in those moments is like
completely
so over the top that it struck me as almost goofy.
Completely agree.
And I had a hard time.
Agree with that.
Yeah. I had a hard time keeping my grip.
I don't agree, but
let's talk about it.
No, I just think it, I do get what you're saying. And first of all, I want to make sure and keep us accountable. Like we don't have to respect international bestsellers. We did a Twilight series, guys. So we're good.
That's true.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
We don't have to say that's something that we do. I don't want to be held to those standards. I think that Eleanor is just like so bent over and formed and clouded by like the wealth she's had to attain and the work that she's had to do, and with the investment of I think a lot of her absolute hate is projecting. And almost another reason for me to be the hunk this week was I'm in my I had my second counseling session and I'm really enjoying working on my emotional well-being. But I think the fact that I think part of what turns Eleanor in the end is realizing how much she needs help. It feels like with how independent the raising of the wealth and stuff, like I have, like even from the moment at the very beginning when we see her at the hotel, which is a great scene, which is probably what we should have talked about first. And she's like, we just bought the hotel, just arguing with that really rude thumb of a man. But yeah, I think because she's seeing so much in herself, I think she's projecting. I think she's saying these things at what is the surrogate of Rachel that ultimately she's really upset about. Because I think Rachel is so impressive. Because she is legitimately impressive, but she's impressive in a way that's illegal. It happens in sports a lot when it's like it's non-traditional ways to be a megastar and like be really talented. It's like, what do you mean you don't practice? Like, what do you mean you were born with it? Or what do you mean like all these things that just become offensive? So I was.
What do you mean it's Maybelline?
What do you mean it's Maybelline? But yeah, I think her really awful moments, like, you know, it just kind of made sense for me. I totally get where y'all are coming from, because that's part of what makes it feel princessy too. Yeah. She does feel like the
it's like
stepmother.
heightened a little bit.
She feels like Maleficent in a way. It's just, it is a lot.
And I think maybe that's what it was for me, was like a tonal back and forth that I couldn't quite wrap my brain around for a little bit.
Yeah. I think in my head, it was so through the lens of something being really fantasy adjacent in how spectacular everything is.
Sure.
Yeah. That I was probably to an extent viewing it as kind of fiction, like as a over the top, exaggerated personalities.
Yeah. No, I get that for sure. I definitely understand how.
At what point though, like, at what point do you like paint yourself into a corner that there's no coming back from? You know what I mean? Because I feel like sort of what happened with the, like how awful Nick's family is like, I don't know, maybe I'm a cynical boy, but I found myself when he proposed on the plane being like,
still wouldn't want to be a part of that family.
Please turn him down. They've been awful to you, and now they're just embarrassed about how they publicly were awful. This isn't real. They're trying to save face.
Dude, that's what I'm saying about Nick. It's that same category of Nick where it's like, I don't know why you'd want to be with him after he let you fly all the way to Singapore for a week without prepping you for this awful situation.
It maybe feels like a happiest season kind of vibe. Where it's like they get back together in the end and we're supposed to be like, oh, good, true love. But we didn't really see them be in love all that much. So we're just like, wait, they were just awful to you for a whole movie.
Maybe that's some
Why
of the
are you jumping back to them.
Yeah, only now fully realized weight of Astrid to me is that because there is someone.
Yeah.
Because there's at least someone about
because
that
at
world.
least Astrid's on their team.
Yeah. You know, and I know that's weird and it sounds like it's making excuses, but I'm trying to see for myself like why I ultimately like was excited, because you're right, really the only ones that seem to be on their side are not fully family. One is a great friend from college and the other one is like a distant cousin, you know? And we're seeing that the ones that are on their side are the ones that are jaded by this empire.
Exactly.
Now, I think my super pump will kind of reveal a little more about how I feel about some of these key plot points, because I really want to.
Was it Ken Jeong?
I was going to say this. I was going to joke.
I know you love Ken Jeong.
No, I do.
Was it his cool hair in this movie?
I do love Ken Jeong,
so good.
But no, he's not my super pump. Although he did make me laugh. Him and the brother, who by the way is very creepy, and their reaction to him should not have been, "Haha, you." It should have been like, "Get out and give me the phone. I'm deleting all of those pictures."
It's the exact vibe of the crazy stupid love. Like, oh, I accidentally sent my nudes to this kid, and it's like, hey, that's not great at all.
Yes, dude. You're absolutely right. But yeah, I want to talk about
oh, you scamp. Like, no, that's a crime. That's actually
silly,
a crime.
Man. You're so silly taking pictures of me and my mom. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
Look, I want to talk about my super pump, but I can't legally because I have to go to shout announcements or I'm going to explode. Welcome to Shout Announcements. It's the part of the show where we give shout outs and make announcements. And so that I can keep saying that every time, shout out to Ellen DeGeneres. How did you fall so far? What's wrong with you?
I would take Aquafina over Ellen on
time.
a show.
100%.
Yeah.
I like
our new show, Aquafina.
Have y'all seen The Farewell?
No, I haven't.
I've heard it's
She's
great.
amazing
Yeah.
in it. She's
Cool.
very good.
I've heard it's great.
Cool. I've really not seen her in much of anything else. Is she just always a little bit Miley Cyrus?
Yeah, a little bit.
Here.
The voice
cool.
a little bit.
Funny.
Cool. Love it.
That's funny.
Love it. She's a Miley Cyrus variant from a different time stream.
That's true.
See that alto.
Yeah, big
Here's
time.
the deal. Here's the deal, folks. We've got Patreon, and it's a great way for you to, I guess what we're really trying to do is get you to have a little bit of a sunk cost fallacy with our show, where it's like, I'm part of Patreon, so it must be my favorite podcast.
It must be good.
It must be good, right? But here's what we've got going on. We've got 2 tiers of Patreon, but the first one, I never do this. I find myself completely stumbling over my words. We've got 2 tiers of Patreon.
You volunteered
the first
for
one.
this.
I know. I was confident. I
You
was
said
like,
dibs on Patreon.
I'm going to actualize it. I'm going to speak it into existence. And I'm stumbling. I'm doing a bad job and I'm thinking about it too much. We have 2 tiers of Patreon. The first one costs $3 a month. And with that tier, you get some very specific bonuses, which I will list out right now. You get bonus episodes of our podcast. We've done some real fun ones. I actually think I want to ask you guys, what's your favorite bonus episode that we've done? My favorite is the 2 Chunks holiday party, where we reviewed an episode and did a little bit of audio theater as well. That's probably my favorite
Retribution
one.
for a Goofy movie is obviously up there for me.
Sure. That was our first one.
I think the holiday party was so good. It's
Holiday party is real fun. It's real fun. Carter, put you down for holiday party.
Put me down for holiday party. That was
Okay, holiday party for party
highly
3.
produced, super fun.
Yeah. That one's super fun. But you get access to our holiday party and I think like 13 or 14 other bonus episodes. At this point, we did just announce that instead of doing a specific romance movie for Summer of Love, we're going to be doing a Patreon exclusive series where we're going to be taking a little journey through time and reviewing Back to the Future. All 3 of them exclusively on Patreon. So those are going to start dropping here pretty soon. You're going to want to make sure you're a part of that. And then if you want to upgrade from $3 a month to $5 a month, you get everything from the $3 tier plus access to our official Chunky exclusive Discord channel, which is just about the most fun thing that I get to look at on my phone every day. I really, really enjoy all the conversations that we get to have. It really is just the world's best group chat. I got notified about the trailer for Clifford the Big Red Dog, which seems like a completely wild ride to me. So thanks for bringing that to our attention, dear patrons.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun to be had there, but don't keep it to yourself. Look, we are wrapping up Summer of Love, one of our favorite series. We're about to talk about next week, Black Widow. That is huge. And then after that, we're starting this awesome series that Carter is running the entire show on. It's going to be bangers after bangers after bangers. And listen to me.
Maybe. Dude, honestly, we have no idea.
No, it definitely is going to be. I can guarantee it. And the thing is, you're supposed to be telling your friends. Tell all your friends. Tell everybody you know about this sick podcast that you love that's talking about Black Widow, that's talking about, I can only assume Angels in the Outfield at some point. I'm just guessing. I have no idea. But it's imperative that you share us with your mom. Moms love us, by the way. You got to share us with your mom. You got to share us with your friends, your homies, your crew. And they're going to share it. And it's sort of like a triangle where if everybody shares it with 3 people, and then those 3 people share it with 3 people. And then at the end of it, you can win a pink Cadillac.
Yes.
Tell your friends.
Amazing. Also, I'm telling my friends right now for the first time because Olympics, Carter's Choice is truly mine. And I wanted to have our first movie be something that was the relationship between my actual love for sports and then my love for the content of this podcast and the content of the minds and hearts and spirits of my co-hosts.
Sure.
So the first one throws us for a loop a little bit, but we have to go back to the year 1900 and the third Olympiad when we were introduced to archery as a competitive summer Olympic sport. With our first movie then to come 91 years later and starring Kevin Costner.
Yeah, it's Robin Hood. Yeah, for sure.
Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves will be the first movie for Olympics.
Cool. My favorite sports movie.
And this will be we'll have some more literal stuff later, but for now, I just wanted to kind of get us ready. I don't want to just drop some super sports heavy, technical heavy thing onto these boys right from the beginning, but we will start with that and Snape and Camelot. So that's going to be a really fun time. Have y'all seen that movie?
Maybe once.
No, I have not.
Okay,
Soundtrack is an all-time fave for me.
Soundtrack I've put in my 10,000 hours with for various projects.
Easy.
This is something, you've got 2 weeks, Chunkies, those of you listening. This is an absolute worth a watch to give you. This is selfishly too, with the power that I have. This is a movie that I saw for the first time within the last year. And from the moment I saw it, I said, we have to find a way because it is, I would say it's somewhere between Cutthroat Island and I don't even know what else.
I don't care what the other movie is.
Yeah.
Any spectrum that has Cutthroat Island at one end is a spectrum I want to be on.
If you turn around and whiplash me straight from Robin Hood directly into Field of Dreams.
What if Carter backdoored this into a Kevin Costner series?
No, because the point too is I don't want to do too many things that are already just sports we see every year. Like what do we only get in the Olympics?
Sure.
Oh, I like that.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that famous shot put movie. What was that called again?
If it could have just been a sports movie, then why do it during the Olympic season? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So
capitalize on it.
But yeah, that's going to be a good time.
Well, tune in for that.
And now we got to go to an ad. Otherwise, how are we going to become crazy rich podcasters?
You know how we always end this section.
Hey parents, did you know your kids' money habits start as early as the 2nd grade? Help them build money skills for the real world with GoHenry, the debit card and financial learning app for kids 6 to 18. They'll check off chores in the app, set savings goals, and get their own customized card. It's easy to automate allowance, track spending, and more, so they get independence, and you get to set the boundaries. Guide their learning every step of the way and stay up to date with real-time notifications in your parent app. Families love it. GoHenry has over 1.5 million members, and 92% of parents said their kids were more money confident after using the app. Start your kids on their journey to become money-smart adults. Get started at GoHenry.com, promo code SMART.
I want a super pump now.
Finally.
It's about time.
Been waiting with bated breath.
My super pump is the mahjong scene at the end.
Yeah.
The way that we kind of finally get to, I started to have a real issue with Rachel just being real, go with the flow, even in her private moments. I understand like wanting to respect the people around her and respect a culture that she's not super familiar with being immersed in all the time when public facing, but it seemed like there was not a lot of like, why didn't Nick tell me about this? Why didn't, whatever. It just seemed like there was not a lot of frustration from her. But when she finally kind of stands her ground with Eleanor at the end, man, that scene was really good. Flipping the mahjong tiles, beating her at her game, and the sort of like, I tell Cersei it was me vibe of like everything good that happens in Nick's life, everything that you view as good and right. I want you to always remember that it only happened because I walked away, not him.
Yeah.
That was baller, dude. Yep. I love
that. Was really cool. That was really cool.
That. And
in what universe though? In what universe does mom come back from that and go, you know what? Actually, I do think you'd be a good daughter-in-law.
Well, the whole thing was that she needed to respect. That was like the whole push was like the respect thing. But I'm with you. That still feels a little loose. But I also love.
I was just going to say, I still think that this is still some of Eleanor's projection of herself onto Rachel. I think there was a respect gained the moment that she saw this kind of no matter what feeling, like I will have the upper hand in this somehow. Yeah. Like I think for anyone to talk to her ever like that, much less someone who she has complete disrespect for, probably felt familiar. And I think that's when I think this is more about Eleanor willing to give herself a chance than giving Rachel one.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm going to say that Nick kind of redeems himself for me when he proposes with the full knowledge or with the full willingness to walk away from everything. And I also love that Rachel has the agency and says, no, like this is a lose-lose situation here. And I'm not putting myself through this. Yeah. There is a part of me that wishes that had been a stronger vibe from the beginning, that Nick's intention had been to walk away from everything all the time. And this was like a goodbye. And that after Astrid's separation from her husband, that they would all move together away. Cause I just want the three of them to hang out. I think. Yeah. But
it feels like there should be like, I don't know, like I'm not asking for a moralism, but it feels like there should be at least a repudiation of the lifestyle of the like, we're rich and untouchable, so we're going to be a jerk to you.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that didn't, like, I was actually a little bit bummed whenever he proposed. I was like, oh, he's proposing on the plane with a ring he bought with money he earned from his job. No, it's his mom's giant ring, and they're stuck as part of this awful family.
Yeah. My super dump is in a little bit a relation to what almost was my super pump. But my super dump is not the fact that the men are egregiously the weakest points of this story. In production, in acting, in everything. It's not that it's like, oh, come on, guys, stand up for us. Like be
right. Yeah.
Be the dominating force that you've forced yourself to be.
I want some male representation.
Unfairly given for yourself.
When are boys going to get to do something in movies?
But
come on.
It is like they're because of Gemma Chan, Michelle Yeoh, like all of these, like the women by far, Awkwafina, like everybody is far.
I mean, even Rachel. I think Constance Wu does a good job.
Constance Wu does a great job too. Far more interesting than any time. So that means the moments that we have, you know, the bachelor party, and we have, oh my gosh, I keep almost saying his actual name, Nick, not Henry. Sorry. The moment that we have like Nick with, you know, his bro out on the thing telling him about like the raft and all that kind of stuff. They took a helicopter to get off. That crazy. That felt so Hangover or something.
Big
completely.
Time.
But like all
it's like
of those
they cast
moments,
his friend Bernard. They were like, we already got Ken Jeong. Who's got a Ken Jeong vibe that we can put in that role here?
Yeah, I guarantee you, I can almost guarantee that all of my favorite movies don't have any point where I'm like, hurry up and get past this.
Right.
Not because I'm so excited about what happens next, but because I'm just like over it. And I think anytime that it was just guys, which is rare, was super weak, and it was very noticeable. And I wasn't about it. So that's my super dump.
I agree. There's something else I want to throw at the wall here while we're talking about some stuff that is like cool and weak at the same time. The portrayal of technology, like the texting and stuff. I know you brought that up, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, Carter. It was really, really cool.
Oh, that was really cool.
And it all completely falls apart plot-wise. They've been dating for a year, and she's never clicked on the Instagram of somebody in his family and seen that they have 2.6 million followers. Like
100%. And you live in New York. This is the first time someone saw y'all together.
Taking a picture?
Is this like the first time y'all have been out? Right. Yeah. If you've got your little birds everywhere, Eleanor, like how has it just now?
They should have waited and been like, they started dating online in a COVID pandemic. And then they went out for the first time where he's like, wait, you're with a famous.
Yeah, you're with a famous.
Yeah. And like her best friend is from and lives in Singapore. And at no point was she like, yeah, I'm dating a guy named Nick from Singapore.
I'm dating a guy named Nick Young who's from Singapore.
Right. And she was like, wait, the Nick? Like the fact that we watch all of this happen. So there's that. And then also just in that same vein, and then I'm done just relentlessly saying negative stuff. But the expository dialogue is so intense at the beginning of this movie.
Oh, big time. Big time.
Gemma Chan's line, Astrid's line when she's talking to her husband and she gives him the watch and she's like, I know you're busy with your startup, but you're not a general in the army anymore or whatever. You're not a captain in the Air Force anymore. Whatever she says, it's just like
how, spoon feeding plot points.
Yeah, it's just like that thing when it's like, come on, man, we've been best friends since third grade, especially since that bus accident, but we were the only two survivors. You remember everything we've gone through. That's how we know each other. Like it's just,
yeah.
Thanks,
nobody would ever say that.
Right. So there's a lot of that. It's a movie. I get it. Whatever. I thought that all of that, this movie started with a whole lot of me rolling my eyes at that stuff.
Sure. It's kind of an uphill climb.
It was a tough fight at the beginning for me to like.
Climb. That's probably my favorite Awkwafina song.
Yeah.
Yes.
So here's something that nobody's talked about yet. And it's wild that it's so important to this movie. Nobody's talked about it. The mystery of Rachel's father. That's my super dump. That has no reason to be in this movie. What on earth is that? That's just a bunch of extra stuff.
Dude, imagine
that's just a bunch of extra stuff
that looks at another human being and is like, you lied about your dad. He was a monster. And she doesn't say, I'm actually finding out about this right now. for the first time. So
that was about the most like days of our lives of our days thing that could have ever. It was just like, your dad, you thought he was dead. No, he's not. He's alive. And your parents were never married. And your mom ran away and had you in America and never told you about. It's like, what? Are you kidding me? That's wild. Super dumb. That's so stupid. That has no reason to be in this movie. It adds absolutely nothing other than just a complication. And she's immediately totally chill with the fact that her mom's lied to her entire life about her dad. The wild thing to me is that Rachel is never, ever like, wait a second. I have a dad.
Right.
Can we go meet him? Like,
Right.
what's going on here? And listen, maybe that's not a reaction to expect somebody to have when they find out this news. But I feel like in a movie, that's always the reaction, right? Regardless of whether somebody in real life would respond that way to finding out secret details of their father. In a movie, we usually leave the, wait, I have a dad, he's alive, I have to meet him. That's the story we tell with that type of element.
Even minus I have to meet him, I feel like even in real life, everybody who finds out that their dad is not dead is going to be like, hold up.
Hang on, excuse me,
Give me a
Mom?
second to process this information.
What's going
Right.
on? Yeah. That
You
was
can
so
hear
stupid.
Luke's nose
Boy, I hated
screams in
that.
the background.
Yeah.
That's impossible.
No. Are we kind of, it's not going to be unbeknownst to us anymore because I'm bringing it up, but are we kind of like just having this long play to set up getting more excited for Eternals? Like we had Chloe Zhao
Yeah.
for our Oscar episode, Jimmy Chan.
Yep.
Like I'm so ready to see more of her on.
100% in.
I think
Yep.
this was the first thing I had ever seen her in. I don't know that I've ever actually watched any of her work before.
I think she was a voice in something. we
Have you
watched
seen
recently,
Captain
right?
Marvel?
Is she in Captain Marvel? Oh yeah, she is, isn't she?
She's one of the Kree.
She
warriors at the beginning.
is. She really knocked my socks off this movie. She is really fantastic.
Wait, who's one of the Kree?
Or she's one of the warriors at the beginning that Carol Danvers is fighting with.
Who?
Jimmy Chan.
She. I'm looking at it. She's Minerva in.
No way. Had no idea.
Yeah. So this is her. She's getting recast, basically.
Yeah. Well, because she was under all that prosthetic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm looking. I haven't watched a Transformers movie since the third one, so that I wouldn't know her from whichever one she did of that. I think this is the first thing I've really watched her in, and I'm just really, really impressed with her.
Yeah. She's great.
Oh, it looks like
Very
she was in
great.
the BBC Sherlock.
Oh, was she? That's a great
Yeah, she played
show.
Watson.
No.
It's crazy.
Herlock. Oh, I get it now. She is Holmes.
My point here is, I'm very excited for her to be in Eternals because I think she's a very good actor.
I think she's great.
Well, she's
I'm
also,
a
I
big
think-
Chloe Zhao fan.
Yeah, I think this is with any novel like this, there's more than one. There has to be.
There's three.
I
of
think
them.
there's like three. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's a
she's-
sequel like coming out.
I know this is. I was being like rhetorical. It's like there's.
Oh,
So
she's doing a thing.
She is very heavily in the second one. It's a lot about her from what I've read.
Feels like
and,
we would
I
have
mean,
had the sequel by now, right? 2018.
Well, there was this
COVID.
COVID
Yeah.
stuff going around for a little while.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. The sequel's Crazy Rich Girlfriend.
Crazy Rich Girlfriend. That's what it is.
Genuinely, that's what it's called. And it's. I guarantee you, it's her. I've never read
I'm
the
pretty
novel.
sure it's
an
called
international bestseller.
Rich Asian Girlfriend.
Prove it.
Yeah, we barely see what will be her love interest like at the end. It's like a post-credit. It's like a mid-credit scene, honestly. And this guy's one of the top billed actors, and he's on screen for like 30 seconds. Harry Shum Jr. of Glee fame.
China Rich Girlfriend is the second movie or the second book.
Really?
Yeah, China Rich Girlfriend, and then I think
That
the third
just
one's
feels
called
like
like Rich People Problems or something like that.
That China Rich Girlfriend feels like a word salad. It was like somebody trying to remember the name of this movie, but they just had their wisdom teeth out.
Very much.
Oh man, China Rich Girlfriend is the sequel. So
Woof.
I assume
Woof.
that's coming. I assume that's coming very, very soon. Yeah. So the more I'm reflecting on this movie, the more I really do. It does feel like it blurs the line between fantasy and like groundedness.
Yeah, completely.
In a way that I wasn't really expecting it to. But it totally has that like quote unquote like modern day fairy tale vibe, while at the same time being very like intense and personal for Rachel and Nick and Astrid.
Yeah. We didn't really talk about Colin that much. Nick's best friend.
Oh yeah, I thought his performance was pretty good actually.
Performance was good. I have no idea. Again, this is the kind of thing where it's like, maybe I'm just too quick to be like, hey, you're a jerk to me. I'm done dealing with you. But like the second that Colin starts to be like, hey, you should not propose to her. She's going to have such a hard time. You know, she can't handle that. She's a poor. She's not a rich like us. It was like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to this dude's wedding now. Are you kidding me?
Oh, by the way, that was almost my super pump. I mean, that was a ridiculous wedding, like what they put together there.
Oh, yeah.
But it is, for me, it was all the ingredients for a incredibly emotive.
The water was awesome. The water
and her like
that was a cool
freaking
wedding.
Bedazzled like barefoot legs to go out there and it was just so over the top. And the music was really, it was great. I think you made a good point about it shouldn't have been in English, but.
Well, especially since we do a Coldplay cover at the end, like just because the song's in English doesn't have to be sung in English.
But yeah, gorgeous scene.
That Coldplay cover was awesome.
Cool.
Just by the way,
Coldplay cover was very good. Yep.
That's just a good song. I don't think about that song enough. That's a good song.
Listen, we're here to tell you Coldplay is actually good.
Y'all should listen to.
They're actually a good band. Have you heard of them?
Yellow, because it's a cool song.
Have you heard of like Clocks or like The Scientist or any, like, it's pretty crazy that they can write music that good.
My favorite one from Coldplay is the one that's like bum 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 bum. I think it's called Vertigo.
Yep.
Yeah, love it. Bono, my fave.
That's my favorite member of Coldplay is Bono. So
can we rate this?
Yeah, let's go ahead and rate this movie. We're going to rate it using science, the scientific cinema scale, which is perfect and as follows. The best thing we could ever say about a movie is own it, don't lend it.
Buy that poster. The first time I've ever yawned. What are the chances?
You're yawning.
300 episodes. The first time I've yawned.
The next best thing is buy it. That's followed by rent it and then stream it. And after that is forget it. And last but certainly least, the worst thing we could ever say about a movie.
God hath forsaken us.
I'll go first. I buy Crazy Rich Asians. I think.
I don't think you should do that. I don't think you should buy people.
I buy this movie. Why am I going to? I don't have to correct for you. I buy Crazy Rich Asians. And I think that it has a quality that while my super pump was that it ended up being about cultural identity, it is very much a like romantic comedy. It's an over the top, fun romantic comedy. And I think that because of those ingredients that it does have that feel semi-familiar to just a good rom-com, I think this has the potential to be a classic. I think this is going to be one that is going to be up kind of in the upper echelon of whatever the new wave kind of rom-com is. You know, we've got our Meg Ryan season, then we've got like our, time travel type stuff, Rachel McAdams season. And then I think we're going to have these like super high budget, more exotic kind of like, let's do it. I'm in. I buy it.
Yeah, I'm renting it. I think it is gorgeous to look at. I think it's a very interesting movie, and I think that it's one of those that blew up in a way that is worth checking out, especially for Gemma Chan and just as far as like the overall quality of movie making being very high. I think that it's definitely worth checking out. This one didn't, I think because I hadn't seen it and it won first place like by a pretty decent margin. I was expecting a lot and I ended up underwhelmed. So this one's going to be a rent for me.
I'm also going to rent this one too. I enjoyed watching it. I actually had a really good time watching it. I thought it was pretty fun. It was really not like anything we've ever watched for Summer of Love in the past couple of years. And it's pretty unlike anything else I've seen too. I love that it was like non-Western representation, which is something we don't get a ton of out of Hollywood, which is fantastic. It, to me, falls apart if you think about it afterwards, but just be in the moment and watch this movie and have a good time. Yeah. I think it's pretty good. I'll rent it.
Yeah, it is a fun watch. That concludes Summer of Love 4: Time for Love. Wow. That's it, guys.
Maybe my favorite theme song we've ever done.
Oh, for sure. That was
It's
a
a good
blast.
time. I don't like to spend a lot of podcast time talking about how proud I am of us, but I think we did a good job on that, guys.
That's a
It's for
horn
sure.
tutor. That's a horn tutor for sure.
It's
Yeah.
it's our wonder wall. It's like, Oasis
Sure,
did
after
exist
all.
before that.
Yeah, after all,
But
it
then
is.
after all, it is kind of our wonder
It is
wall.
our
Kind of our
wonder wall.
wonder wall a little bit, yeah. That means that it's time to move on. Time for moving on. Next week we will be talking about the ScarJo and Flopu vehicle, Black Widow.
Flopu.
Yeah,
Oof.
that one
Never
just
heard
hit
that
me.
one.
That one just hit
That
me.
one sucks, actually. That's really
I thought
bad.
it was great. So we got ScarJo, we've got Flopu.
We got Dave Harb.
We got Dave Harb.
Dave Harb, my fave. Do you think Sam Jack will be in
Hey.
it? Maybe as a post-creddy?
More like Fave Harbor.
As a po-cred? There was some rumors about Rob Dow being in this one. Rob Dow June being in this one, maybe
Could be.
as a cameo.
Timeline would work out. Timeline would work out for Rob
Yeah.
Down June. But I'm just mostly excited for ScarJo and Flopu. I think they're going to be really great. So this is death. This is death to Carter. So make sure you tune in.
Tune in for our Blawid episode.
Marvel presents Blawid, the ScarJo Flopu vehicle. To end today's episode, I'd like for each of us to say our name and what outrageous element we would have at our crazy rich Asian wedding if we could have it with no money is no object. We can afford it. For 2 chunks and a hunk, I'm Jordan Wonders. Cheese pool,
Oh, like nacho cheese or like a dry pool shredded cheese ball pit style?
nacho cheese pool,
For people or chips?
a fondue pool. Yes,
No.
hey,
No.
we're rich. We don't have to worry about disease.
No way. That's just like essence of dude in my fondue. It's fondue.
The pool is going to be so big and the cheese so viscous that there is just simply no chance of germs traveling from one end to the other. Just find your spot and dip there.
But are you in it too?
You could be if you'd like to. That's really
No.
your own choice to make. I can't tell you what to do with the cheese pool.
If there is one molecule of dude in my fondue, I'm out. I'm so out.
First of all, fondue. Second of all,
We're all thinking.
First of all, I said that about a minute and a half ago, and nobody laughed at me saying fondue, which is a funny joke that
that's
should have
because
got a
That is
laugh.
a
my
funny joke. I
delivery
missed
was
it.
better, and also I didn't hear it. But yeah, cheese pool.
My name's Doge. Cheese pool, no people allowed. Unlimited apples, pretzels, chips. We got 1 cheese pool and we got 1 beer cheese pool for the pretzels.
Soft pretzels.
Soft pretzels. And then we have a man in a black and white suit walking around constantly with a mortar and pestle, fresh grinding some mustard for the pretzels as well.
Can I walk my answer back and just say soft pretzels? I just want soft pretzels.
If you had all the money in the world,
Just soft pretzels.
What would you get?
I'd love to have
a pretzel.
I'd love to have soft pretzels.
3 pretzels from the mall for me, please.
Auntie Anne's, please. Thank you.
This is a budgetless wedding.
You get one thing. That's the prompt.
Carter, it should be an unlimited number of those little shrimp guys from your wedding.
Oh,
That is to this date the best thing I've ever eaten in my life.
yeah. Papacitos, bro. You can go get some right now if you wanted to. Dang. Well, I can only think of things in a pool now.
If you had no budget, what kind of pool wedding would you have?
Oh, it would be such a waste of money, but it would be a joke. I'm Carter, and it would be a pool full of denim pants. And
Yes. Yes.
where something is normally just it is about family a lot of the times at these weddings. Be like take a jump into the gene pool.
Now, you said waste of money as though their engagement party didn't have synchronized swimmers for no reason whatsoever.
Now
There's reason.
you said waste of money, completely unaware that that's also a pun. And it could be WAIST
Waste.
money
Nice.
for the gene pool.
I think the first conversation, if I'm Rachel, the first conversation I'm having with Nick after the proposal is, hey, I'm super glad you have money and it's cool that we kind of have money. Let's talk about maybe not doing things like spending it on synchronized swimmers. You know,
Also,
that
we
kind
didn't
of
even talk about this. I'm guessing a professor at NYU isn't in bad shape. I bet she got money too.
Not Nick money.
thing. No,
She
Nick
doesn't
money.
have nobody's got Nick money. Dude.
She's normal rich. She's not crazy rich.
Yeah,
It's not called normal rich professors.
that's true.
It's not called doing all right. professors.
Just keeps getting more and more normal sounding and less and less interesting.
My favorite
Fiscally
rom-com
comfortable professors.
favorite rom-com is Comfy Teacher.
Comfy teachers.
Comfy Teacher the movie, starring Constance Wu.
Relieved instructor.
We've got time for love. We can make it. Nothing can stop us or break it. Passion soars on wings like eagles, singing from above. If all that we have left is time, I think it's time for love.
No matter where you are, there's probably a Speedway right around the corner. So whether you want a freshly brewed hot or iced coffee, fountain drink, or speedy freeze, Speedway's got the fuel to keep you going all summer.